Recording live from somewhere. Oh, hi. I'm here. Um, and I'm really cold and I've got a headache and a sore throat, but I'm here. And welcome to Tarot and Tea Tuesday. There's some, there are some interesting vibes out there today. I went for a walk this morning and it was overcast and spitting a little bit, and it was just quite magical around the river. And the birds were just being a little bit nutty today. I don't know what it was, but maybe there's something, if it was a type of food that they have access to, or maybe just some kind of charge in the atmosphere. But yeah, there were a few nutty birds around, which I shared on my Instagram. But yeah, that was fun. And then the sun came out and I got this really full-on headache. I don't know, I woke up feeling a little bit blur, but the sun and the glare just really amplified whatever was going on. And now the sun's gone again. So, but I've got a bit of reflection coming in off of the clouds over there. So yeah, welcome to today. We are in Taurus season, and the moon is in Aquarius. I think we've got a waxing. Oh yeah, I looked up this morning. I think we're in the last quarter, the waning quarter of the moon. And in Aquarius, so I feel like for me, it's sort of, if I'm relating the vibes to those aspects, and keep in mind, I am by no stretch of the imagination an astrologer, but the vibes that I'm getting and my understanding of Taurus season, Taurus sun and Aquarius moon, I would say that it's that beginning of the Taurus season where I am, it's the start of the transitioning from summer to autumn and into winter. So yeah, I really feel like it's that coming into my body. I'm feeling a lot of, not like anything specific, but I'm feeling my flesh today. I'm definitely feeling it. And this headache's making me feel a lot of the bones in my skull that I don't normally feel. So that's one of the vibes, is that grounding into self. And I guess Aquarius, the moon in Aquarius generally gives me that sense of exploring how things are relating to each other, how I relate to other things, and like just being sociable, like opening up to receive what is happening out there, which I definitely felt with the bird life today on my walk. Not necessarily the humans, but the birds for sure. And I'm still, like, they're still calling my attention. I can hear them outside. It's very loud today. And also I feel like because it's that waning phase of the moon, yeah, it's like I've got, and it's a bit colder. I'm feeling like kind of cuddling up. And in fact, before I jumped on today, I was like, I'm going to watch something on TV, and I cuddled up and started watching some documentary, an amazing nature documentary that had my brain going, because I'd done the tea today. I got a new mug that's actually not mine. It's for Ray, but I'm using it today. I'm christening it with apple mint, which we foraged together last week at what I call the Hatchery, which is a place in Daylesford that used to be where they hatched. I don't know what type of fish now, but it was a place where they hatched some type of fish, and it had like a natural creek running through it, and a spring, which is where my favorite water is, where I go to collect spring water, and it's my favorite water. And it used to be a hatchery, so I call it the Hatchery, but then some factory opened up and dumped chemicals into the water and killed all the fish, so they had to move. But the relics of that setup are still there, and the spring the spring water is delicious. And all around the water is apple mint and river mint, like loads of it. I mean, there's the usual things too, like dock and stuff like, oh, there's definitely blackberry there as well. But yeah, it's the apple mint there. I always get some when I go. Don't know if anyone's had apple mint before. It's definitely really fruity. I think it's also sometimes called pineapple mint. It's really fruity, minty kind of taste. The mint is more subtle though than the fruitiness of it. Anyway, I've just like foraged it from there. Haven't really paid a lot of attention to its medicinal benefits until today. This morning I was having a quick look, and so there, and specific for headaches, which, hello, thank you very much, and digestive stuff, which you'd assume with mints, headaches, the aromatics of it, you would assume would help with headachy things. But it's the anti-inflammatory aspects, actually. But also was talking about, there's a lot of research at the moment about it having cytotoxic effects. So the ability to stop cells from replicating or interrupting cell division process. And so, yeah, they're doing some research into that, the impact of apple mint on cancer cells, which could turn out to be really cool. And then I was curious. I was like, so surely, because I know with cytotoxic chemical mixes that they use for chemotherapy, there's always that risk of healthy cells. But I never really thought about how healthy cells, like how cytotoxic chemicals or substances can distinguish between the cancer cells and the healthy cells. Anyway, it just kind of, I started to go down a rabbit hole and then realized I was late for the live streaming. But all I kind of got to was that because of how quickly cancer cells replicate, they're targeted more specifically by the cytotoxic chemicals. But there's obviously damage to healthy cells as well. But yeah, anyway, that's a rabbit hole for another day. So here's to apple mint: anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial. It's good to grow where you want to get rid of insects. The smell of it, like, just, it's got kind of like a slightly furry leaf, and if you brush on it, the smell stays on you, like it really sticks. There's a lot of aromatics in it. So anyway, there we go. Apple mint. Thank you, the hatchery. And I'm working with the Wildwood Tarot today. I spoke about it last week because I used, I think, the Druid Animal Oracle last week. I've used the Druid Craft Tarot before, and that was the same authors and the same artist. This deck is different authors, but the same artist. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there you go. So you can see the similarity in the art, in the style of art, but the authors are quite different. I find these, so the Druid Craft, I find to be a little bit more sort of community-based pagan ritual style. These ones, the Wildwood, I find a little bit more shamanic in the way that the authors have approached it, and that really comes through in the images. That Bill Worthington, oh, look at that. Bill and Will, like his name's written as Bill on some decks and Will on the other, but it is the same person, Will Worthington. So let's think about, okay, so we're going to think about, because of this Aquarius mood and now relating to looking at relationship, and I think that came up, either it came up in last week's Tarot and Tea, or it was a bit of a theme in some readings I've been doing recently. But yeah, let's look a bit further into that. What relating feels like on a waning moon moving towards autumn. If the sun was setting, it would be the perfect coalescing of times, but it is what it is. Okay, the Journey card. Speaking of birds, actually, there you go. So this card is 13, the Death card, which makes sense because there you go. There's a bird with a very dead thing under its talons. And we've got like, okay, so this carcass has been like picked clean by this murder of ravens there. Also, it looks like, well, there's the moon, big full moon shining a light on that process. And then we've got like, looks like a bit of a valley, like that looks like very, like this, it's earth. To me, it's reminiscent of like the bottom of a valley or the depth of a grave or something, because then you've got the rising bit on the side there with the life kind of up there. There's a valley of death happening down here. So usually the Death card talks about transformation, big change, which is all good and well. But when I look at that, it's like, it is that idea, but it's the raw, it's a bit more of a raw version of it. So actual death, like, I don't think we really, as the culture that I live in, that I was raised in and that I currently live in, I don't think there is enough conversation and understanding and relationship with death. So this card coming up is making me think that we're coming up to, in my part of the world, we're coming up to Halloween, and that idea of honouring the dead, which doesn't really happen enough, I don't think, it's not something that is that common in the community that I live in, paying homage to the dead. But that's I guess, like, that's what I think of at this time of year, recognizing the dead as my ancestors, and that connection and the relationship that I can have with something that is already gone, and the impact that relationship can still have on me in the here and now. And then if I think about how this card might be talking about change as opposed to the rawness of death, it could be that idea that there's an inevitability. What is it that, I don't know, some quote from someone somewhere sometime, something like, the one thing that you can be sure is change, or the one constant is change. I don't know, one of those contradictory cool sayings. But I think that's where, if there's a lack of acceptance, then the changes are generally hard. And I wonder, like, that's reminiscent of maybe how the culture I live in did used to relate to death, but now it's sort of like the surface level of changes. But also, I wonder too if, like, for me, when something changes, it's almost mind you, and change is very exciting for me. I seek change. So I don't know if I'm just being biased, but there is a joy in that release of what was, and there is a hope in the potential of what could be in those moments of change. And I feel like this card, even though it's kind of like, I don't know, there's blood and there's flesh being ripped off of some bones there, even though there is that, look at the life shining out of those eyes and that kind of like the movement around the moon there, just despite what has to be released, or maybe because of what is being released, there is a sense of rejuvenation in what could be. So if we're thinking about relating to other, I guess I would be kind of going, well, what changes am I currently, what changes are naturally happening, you know, when you look at the environment at the moment, and you know, some things are ripening, some things are dying. Everything's got its own cycle going on. So I feel like it's about sort of maybe tapping into where you are in your own cycle, and then how that impacts how you relate to people who are going through their own processes of change, because again, change is inevitable. It is always happening. And I guess this card is a reminder that we might be the raven eating the flesh and being rejuvenated by it, or we might be the carcass being stripped bare to our bare bones to face our fears and to embrace the aspect of fear that we kind of like, that's at the core of who we are, that we can't see when we've padded it with all of the distractions of life or whatever. So, and that's a very shamanic process too, is being able to strip everything back, become nothing, and then feel into what's in the bones of you, what is in the earth of you, what is you when you don't even have words for it, and then honoring that and building on from that. And that's the cycle. And I feel like everybody is at some place within that process. And it's kind of healthy to be going around and around within that cycle and that process. But when we're relating to other people, it's important to kind of go, well, where are they in theirs and where am I in mine? Because sometimes it might be that it's not necessarily that you are not right for each other, or you're not learning from each other. It's just that your cycles you need to approach the situation with a different perspective, because your cycles are aligned in a uniquely different way, not necessarily doing the same thing, but slightly askew. And that's just reality. That's just life. That's just how it is. But I wonder if we're just being asked to remember that right now in how we relate to other, and maybe face those fears. It's a dark moon coming up and Halloween. So yeah, in my part of the world. So that's going to be my mission for sure, is just stripping everything back with this next dark of the moon and seeing what's left, what those bones look like. So there we go. Thank you, the journey card. I love that it's called the journey as well. It's like it adds to that cyclical concept, like it's constantly happening. Anyway, cheers to the Wildwood Tarot. I really love those cards and I use them a lot for readings. They're so cool. So I highly recommend have a play with those. Actually, there's an app you can get on your phone. Not that I like recommending that, but it's and they have an app. There's Tarot Deck. So cheers to Apple Mint. Cheers to the Warble Tarot. All the crazy bird shenanigans happening today, and hopefully my headache goes with this Apple Mint. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you next week.